just a little online housekeeping. Please ensure any mobile phones around you are on silent. Please keep your microphone muted when not speaking, and then unmute to speak. As chairman, I will call on those to speak during the meeting. In terms of technical meeting control, if any cabinet member leaves the virtual meeting partway through for a period of time, for example through lost connection, I will continue the meeting unless we are not quorate, which is 3 councillors. Before we move on to the agenda, I would like to do a roll call of those cabinet members present to confirm attendance to those watching online. Please indicate that you are present when I say your name. Councillor Jonathan Bianco.
Present, Leader.
Councillor Susan O'Brien.
Present, Leader.
Councillor Keith Burrows.
Present, Leader.
Councillor Jane Palmer.
Present, Leader.
Councillor Philip Cawthorne.
Present, Leader.
Councillor Douglas Mills.
Yes, I'm present.
Councillor Richard Lewis.
Present, Leader.
Councillor Duncan Flynn.
Present, Leader.
Thank you. We also have members of the Executive Scrutiny Committee in the virtual meeting who will remain silent but listen to Cabinet proceedings. Their attendance as observers will be recorded by Democratic Services. We now move on to the agenda. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
All members present.
Thank you. Declarations of interest in matters before this meeting. I will now pause for a moment and I'll take no interests being recorded if nothing is declared during that pause. Thank you. Agenda item 3 is to receive and agree the minutes of the last meeting. And once again, I will pause for a few moments, and if no comments are made, I shall take the minutes as agreed. Thank you. As usual, just to confirm that there are 2 public reports on the agenda today and 3 reports that we will hear in private. The first public report, agenda item 5, page 9 of the agenda, Cranford Park project delivery stage. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader. I'm delighted to say that the Council has been successful in its Stage 2 bid to the National Lottery Heritage Fund for the project at Cranford Park. The house was the hunting lodge of the Berkeley family until it was demolished in 1945. Whilst the very grand old house was lost, the cellars, the stables and the courtyard were left standing. The award of £2,282,600 represents 2/3 of the total eligible project costs of £3,474,159 for works of restoration and improvement and a programme of community and educational activities. The majority of the match funding would come from the Section 106 contributions and the other external sources, with revenue costs covered by the income identified in the business plan. The proposals have been informed by specialist surveys and designed by consultants with considerable input from the steering group, comprising of officers, councillors and members of the Friends Group. They have been shaped by the results. They've also been shaped by the results of a large public consultation and visitor surveys. I would ask the Cabinet to agree to the 3 recommendations found on the top of page 10 of the report. And with that, Leader, I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Are there any comments? If not, are those...
Leader, could I just add my thanks to the staff, our officers in particular, who have worked extremely hard putting this presentation together and recommending it and working on the presentation to the National Lottery Fund. Without them, we certainly wouldn't have made the progress we did.
No, thank you, Councillor Bianco. That's well said. Again, unless I hear from any Cabinet member, I will take those recommendations as agreed. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6 on page 31 of the agenda. This is the Revenue and Capital Budget Monitoring for month 2 I will move the recommendations in this report. What we have done, this is the first budget monitoring we've done since the COVID outbreak. We've been affected by the COVID outbreak to any degree. So we have divided the accounts, as it were, into two. One are the normal activities accounts, and all COVID-related pressures we have dealt with as an exceptional item. So if we look at the normal activities, as at the end of month 2, we are £361,000 underspent on our budget for the year, with unallocated reserves projected to total 28.266 million at 31st of March 2020. So that is a very good position to be in on our normal activities. The in-year COVID pressures amount to just over £25 million. And so far we have received from the government various grants which cover all bar 3,029,000 of that sum. At the outturn, which is the year to 31st of March 20, we were aware, obviously, in March of the COVID pandemic. So at the year end, we set aside £5.649 million to cover any shortfall in COVID pressures. So we were covered for that £3 million effectively at 31st of March. However, tonight we are adding another 3,477,000 to that sum, giving us a COVID reserve of 9,126,000, which covers the missing 3,029,000, leaving us just over 6 million for future pressures. Obviously, we anticipate that the government will fund us further for COVID-related pressures, but we are well covered should that not be the case. And our normal trading activities, as I've said, are behind budget, which is a usual position for Hillingdon. On the original paper, we had 6 recommendations. There is an addendum, a new recommendation 7, which I will come to in a moment. The recommendations are that we note the budget position at May 2020, month 2, as outlined in table 1, which is shown on page 37, and as I said, already shows an underspend on budget for this year, and our anticipated balances at the year end being what we thought they would be at budget setting time. To note the Treasury Management Update as at May 2020, this is on Appendix E on page 75, and as usual it states there were no breaches of the prudential indicators or non-compliance with the Treasury Management Policy and Practices, so that is okay. Recommendation 3, to continue the delegated authority up to the end of September 2020, the Cabinet meeting in September, for myself and the Chief Executive to sign off any agency or consultancy assignments which total over 50k. The details of those to date are shown on Appendix F on page 77. Recommendation 4, accept a grant of 40k from the GLA Greener City Fund towards wetland creation and ecological improvements at Hillingdon House Farm. Approve the acceptance of 25k additional GLA funding for adult education from the Skills for London COVID-19 Response Fund programme to support the delivery of adult education during the pandemic. And recommendation 6, to agree to enter into a 3-year strategic partnership with Trees for Cities at a total cost of the council of £75,000, £25,000 per year, to be funded by existing budgets within green spaces. The additional recommendation, recommendation 7, is that the Cabinet accepts a 100k grant from the Department for Transport as part of the first tranche of their Emergency Active Travel Fund. This is to improve local conditions for walking and cycling activities and comprises 90k capital and 10k revenue. A specific proposal to utilise these monies will be submitted to myself and relevant Cabinet members in due course. I'll pause there because I know there are some Cabinet members who wish to comment on certain of those recommendations. So first of all, I will call Councillor Philip Cawthorne.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I would like to just comment on recommendations 4 and 6 as they apply to my portfolio. Recommendation 4, the grant from the GLA Greener City Fund for Hillingdon House Farm, will enable the creation of a mosaic of ponds and a wetland habitat, which, apart from anything else, will help improve drainage and take rainwater runoff from the sports pitches, holding water and discharging it in a controlled way, which will be of great benefit. Recommendation 6 refers to entering into a 3-year strategic partnership with Trees for Cities at a cost over the 3 years of £75,000. Now, we have already worked with them on a project at Hillingdon Recreation Ground, which I was looking at this week. And as a charity, they can tap into other funding sources and will help boost our tree planting capacity significantly. They are also excellent at harnessing volunteer support from the community, which is important because planting trees is relatively straightforward, but getting them established is a trickier proposition, and community involvement can play an important part with this. Both of these recommendations will have the effect of contributing to the biodiversity of Hillingdon, our tree planting commitment, better air quality, and of course, our emerging climate strategy. And I therefore commend both of them to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cawthorne. Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Leader. I would like to comment on recommendation 5. I'd like to firstly thank the officers who made a very successful grant application to the GLA under the Skills for Londoners COVID-19 Response Fund programme, which is in the title of the recommendation. The funds have benefited residents to continue with their adult education courses and to provide a blended approach during this pandemic that we've had and during lockdown. The adult education team have invested in a learning platform to increase the capacity and a virtual service for tutors to run successful online classes so that more residents can access adult education if they wish. Along with these innovations, a Loan and Learn device equipment scheme has also been introduced, ensuring that residents are not hindered if they want to learn from home. I'm delighted that the Council will approve the £25,000 funding this evening and would obviously approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Mills.
Thank you, Leader. I want to pick up on the issue of fees. And I note on paragraph 7, page 34, the government are indicating that they will provide support to local authorities of up to 75% above a threshold. And I believe we're now waiting to see how that's going to be actually calculated and what the precise definition of fees are within local government, which will be of extreme benefit. But also today, of course, is the first day in which the new legislation has taken hold, where hospitality can apply for a licence on the pavement, and the decisions we made at council last week will come into effect, where because we want to support our businesses and we want them to get back across all our town centres, and all, not just the major one, but all our town centres up and down this borough, we are making the system as easy as possible, and of course the fee income as reasonable as possible. And I think £50 for a 4-month licence with the opportunity to renew afterwards is exceptionally thoughtful of their needs at this moment in time. So I expect, Leader, you were probably amazed, no, indeed shocked to hear at council that the Labour Party apparently think that we're charging not enough on our fees. And I trust you will confirm that our policy of having appropriate fees to deliver the kind of services to residents and traders in this borough will continue under this administration.
Thank you, Councillor Mills. Yes, of course, I'm delighted to confirm that our policy, as is generally known on fees and charges, is we always try to be at least 10% cheaper than our neighbouring boroughs. In this case, we are, far more than 10% cheaper because we do want to support businesses at this time. On finance in general, we are not complacent. There is still a lot to do to get around the effects of, or to deal with the effects of COVID-19, and there will be effects on our budget for a number of years going forward. However, finance at this stage is well under control and we are in a good position going forward, far better than many other local authorities. We have 7 recommendations before us. If we have no other speakers, I will pause, and if there is no further comment, I will take those 7 recommendations as agreed. Thank you. Those recommendations are agreed. We will now move into the private part of the Cabinet meeting, part 2. Will councillors please stand by and remain on mute until the live broadcast has ended. Thank you.